Okay, so you want to own a billion-dollar bunker. Not a hole in the ground, a fortified underground compound with a pool, a movie theater, a wine cellar, and enough food to outlast whatever ends civilization above you. Sell units to the ultra-wealthy who are already worried about the next pandemic, the next war, the next grid collapse, and you're not selling real estate. You're selling peace of mind to people who can afford literally anything else and have decided this is what they want instead. That is the dream, and it is not entirely wrong. Here's what it doesn't tell you. This is one of the only luxury real estate categories where the buyer's entire motivation is that they hope to never actually need the thing they paid millions for, which makes it remarkably easy for a developer to sell a fantasy that never has to be tested until it's already too late to check. Let's start with what these things actually cost. Vivos Europa 1, built inside a converted Cold War munitions facility under a 400-foot mountain in Germany, cost roughly $1.1 billion to develop, sprawling across more than 227,000 square feet, with private apartments starting around $2.2 to $2.3 million each. The Oppidum, marketed as the largest billionaire bunker in the world, covers over 323,000 square feet in the Czech countryside and includes a golf course, helipad, and hospital wing, with fully custom units running into the hundreds of millions, depending on size. Survival condo in Kansas, built inside a decommissioned Atlas missile silo, runs from $1.5 million for a half-floor unit up to $4.5 million for a two-level penthouse, with the entire 15-story conversion costing around $20 million. Rising S Bunkers in Texas sells standalone luxury shelters, with its top-tier Aristocrat model running $8.35 million for a private underground mansion complete with a shooting range and bowling alley. The pricing spread alone tells you this isn't one business, it's several different businesses sharing a marketing category. From individual custom shelters to billion-dollar community developments. Before you sell a single unit, the physical engineering is genuinely serious and genuinely expensive. A real bunker needs blast-resistant construction rated for specific threats, 9-foot-thick concrete walls in some designs, air filtration systems capable of scrubbing biological and chemical contaminants, independent power generation, and water systems that don't depend on any outside utility. Converting an existing military structure, like an old missile silo or Soviet munitions depot, is usually cheaper than building from scratch, since the hardened shell and blast doors already exist. But retrofitting decades-old military infrastructure to modern luxury living standards, stainless steel kitchens, home automation, swimming pools, still runs into the tens of millions, even on a repurposed structure. And unlike almost any other luxury property, you're also selling something that has to work correctly the very first time it's needed, with no opportunity to test the actual failure scenario before a customer's life depends on it. Here's the trap sitting underneath the entire business, and it's the one that has nothing to do with concrete thickness or air filtration ratings. Because the entire product category is built on fear of a low-probability, high-consequence event, and because most buyers never actually need to occupy the bunker for its intended purpose, the gap between marketing promises and physical reality can go unchecked for years. A luxury condo building gets tested every single day by residents living in it. A doomsday bunker gets tested in the way that actually matters. Maybe never. That makes the entire category unusually vulnerable to developers who are better at building a compelling pitch deck than an actual underground facility, because the buyers writing 7- and 8-figure checks are often making a purely emotional purchase, and due diligence on a nuclear-hardened, multi-decade engineering project is genuinely difficult for an outside investor to verify. Once a bunker community is actually built and occupied, Revenue comes through a few different channels. The core is unit sales themselves, priced by square footage and finish level the same way any luxury condo is, though often at a considerable premium over comparable above-ground real estate, given the specialized engineering involved. Layered on top are recurring homeowner association-style fees covering shared security, food stockpile replenishment, and facility maintenance, since a functioning bunker community requires the same ongoing upkeep as any private residential development, just with life support grade systems instead of a landscaping budget. Some operators, like Rising S, sell fully custom standalone units directly to individual buyers rather than community shares, commanding higher per-unit margins but requiring a new full-scale engineering project for every single sale. Now, the disaster case study. And it's one of the strangest small business collapses in recent American history. Trident Lakes was announced in 2016 as a $300 to $400 million luxury doomsday resort on 700 acres in Fannin County, Texas, an hour northeast of Dallas, promising 400 underground condos, a golf course, an equestrian center, and a DNA vault, all engineered to survive everything from a viral pandemic to nuclear war. The project generated genuine national attention, with coverage in Forbes, The Atlantic, and the Wall Street Journal's Mansion section. And investors wired real money based on that press coverage and the developer's polished pitch. In March 2018, FBI agents arrested Trident Lakes founder John Eckert after an undercover sting revealed he had agreed to launder $200,000 in what he believed was Colombian drug cartel money, with prosecutors alleging he'd agreed to launder up to $2 million a month through the development. One investor sued, alleging Eckert had diverted at least $1 million of his money into Trident Lakes-related entities as part of a broader pattern of fraud. Within a week of the arrest becoming public, Trident Lakes filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, along with Eckert personally and two of his other companies, listing combined debts between $12 and $70 million against combined assets of just $3 to $30 million. When reporters visited the site afterward, the 700-acre, 5-star resort with DEFCON preparedness consisted of a dried-up fountain and a single steer standing in an empty field. Eckert eventually pleaded guilty to money laundering conspiracy and was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison. Nothing about Trident Lakes was ever actually built. The entire multi-$100 million valuation existed almost exclusively in press releases and investor pitch decks, and it survived as long as it did precisely because doomsday real estate is a category where buyers are primed to trust a compelling story about surviving the unimaginable and rarely get the chance to verify the underlying engineering before writing the check. Let's run the numbers on two scenarios. Optimistic case, you convert an existing hardened military structure, like an old missile silo, avoiding the cost of blast-rated construction from scratch, and sell 15 units at an average of $3 million each, generating $45 million in unit sales against a $20 million conversion and build-out cost, leaving a genuine $25 million margin, plus recurring annual HOA-style fees from residents, covering ongoing security and stockpile maintenance for decades, roughly the trajectory survival condo has followed. Realistic case, you announce an ambitious greenfield bunker community at a similarly aggressive valuation, generate real media coverage and real investor interest, and begin taking deposits before construction meaningfully begins. Exactly Trident Lakes' path. Without an existing hardened structure to build from, and without the operational discipline to manage a multi-$100 million engineering project, costs and delays compound, while investor money continues flowing in based on marketing rather than progress. A structure that works fine until it doesn't, at which point the entire project can collapse into bankruptcy, leaving depositors with nothing but a field. So, if you decide to own a billion-dollar bunker, understand what you're actually buying or selling. You're not in the real estate business in any normal sense. You're selling insurance against an event nobody wants to happen, and few buyers will ever be able to verify actually works until the day it's tested for real. Build on proven, already hardened infrastructure with real engineering behind it, and this can be one of the strangest, highest margin luxury businesses in the world. Sell the fantasy before the concrete exists, and you're just running a very expensive story that ends the moment someone stops believing it.